Hello, and welcome to a new episode on All Stars Book Club.
Hello everybody, I'm author Anna Larner, and I'm excited to be on the All Stars Book Club authorshorts series. Thank you for having me.
Can you tell us a little bit more about your latest book, Highland Whirl?
I'm so excited to introduce my December release, Highland Whirl, to readers. Here's the cover here. Highland Whirl is an opposites attract, low-angst contemporary romance. It is a sequel to my debut, Highland Fling. Highland Whirl picks up on the story of Highland Fling 4 years on. This time the focus is given to the previously supporting characters of Highland Fling, Eve's best mate, girl about town, Roxanne Barnes, and Moira's feisty stepdaughter, Alice Campbell. The story begins when Roxanne reluctantly accepts a holiday invite to the Highlands of Scotland to help Eve celebrate her 30th birthday. Let's say neither Roxanne or Alice are looking forward to seeing each other, but the plot of the story throws them together and they're obliged to spend time in each other's company. And neither could be more surprised when they realise how much they have in common. And not only that, how they're beginning to fancy each other rather a lot, and that their attraction is beginning to build to something more. It's a wonderful, they're perfect opposite attracts match, and meet each other equally in wit and humour and feisty fun.
Which characters from past series make an appearance in your new book?
I deliberately kept the cast of Highland Whirl to a minimum, so only the key characters from Highland Fling came across. I didn't want to burden the reader with asking them to engage with too many characters. So we have Roxanne and Alice, of course, but we also have Eve and Moira. It was a pleasure to return to their story to see if Moira's wounds had healed, and if Eve had found her one in Moira, and had they found the lasting love that Highland Fling had promised. I also loved reuniting Eve with Roxanne, and bringing these two best mates together so that they can find a new foundation of friendship going forward. We also have the elderly and much-loved couple, Elizabeth and Angus McAllister. The story of their growing frailty forms a narrative thread throughout the book, and lends it a deeper emotional depth. And not forgetting, we have the coquettish Belinda from the Brewer's Arms, to add some fun and some poignancy.
Can you share with us something unique about the Scottish Highlands that we might not necessarily find in a guidebook?
That's a fantastic question. Back in 2019, I went with my mum to the Highlands of Scotland and stayed in Fort William. We took a boat trip on Loch Linney, which is just by Fort William. Now, the captain of that boat trip made the most fantastic and unusual comment. He said that if we think about how the Highlands were formed, the big volcanic and violent bringing together of land masses and the rising up of the mountains and the hillsides and the creation of the glens and the beauty, this very violent geological past is actually still happening, and the Highlands even now are moving upwards. I don't know about you, but I just think that's the most awesome thing.
How long did it take you to write Highland Whirl? And did anything change between the first draft and the final edit?
I tend to ruminate on a book for a little while before I write it. I think about setting and character, maybe I hear a piece of dialogue. For Highland Whirl, it took about 9 months for my draft to be written before I submitted it to my editor. During that time, I used a story arc to help me with pacing and structure, and I also had the fantastic help of my beta readers. I got through probably 2 to 3 drafts before the final draft that went to my editor. The editing process itself varies from book to book. For Highland Whirl, I had an early Skype chat with my editor, who gave me broad scope changes that she wanted me to make. I then worked for another further 2 months doing these changes. They included things like bringing out the kindness and warmth within the book, and also focusing on making some adjustments to the black moment to focus it on the main character, stripping away any distractions. Then from there, it's about 6 months with Ruth during the editing process, but it's always so much better for being edited. I'm very proud to have managed to get through Highland Whirl, really, with the COVID in the background, making everything very challenging for us all. So I feel very proud indeed.
What part of the book or what character did you enjoy writing the most?
If I was to tell you what part of the book I enjoyed writing the most, I think I might give the story away. I will say that I enjoyed writing the setting of the Brewer's Arms, which is the gay pub in the story, and evoking the trepidation and excitement of going to a gay bar, and indeed the camaraderie that you find there. So definitely that. The character that I enjoyed writing has to be the capable and confident, carefree Roxanne Barnes. I would love to have that personality. I really enjoyed writing about her and showing her vulnerability, and the sort of the different sides to her character, and that she beginning to think that she might be lonely, and that she worries that love is something someone else has. I also very much liked to be in her point of view when she was falling in love with the beautiful Alice Campbell, and it was a real pleasure to join her on that journey. So my favourite character to write has to be Roxanne Barnes.
What was the most challenging part of writing the book?
There were a couple of things that I found particularly challenging in writing Highland Whirl. Firstly, when you set out to write a sequel, you have to achieve two things which at first seem to be opposing. You have to write a story that can stand alone and be its own unique self, and at the same time you have to seamlessly develop the primary story. How I met this challenge was to understand that the story of Highland Whirl existed already in the story of Highland Fling, the primary story. That the character traits, the personality, the physical appearance of Roxanne and Alice was already set out for me in Highland Fling. And indeed, the conflict and the potential conflict that we see in Highland Whirl is also anticipated in Highland Fling. I tend to think of it now as Highland Fling containing the tinder, which then I could ignite to produce the story of Highland Whirl. The second challenge for me in writing Highland Whirl lies in the fact that it's a sequel to Highland Fling. Now, Highland Fling is my Marmite book, if you will. Many readers loved it, but some readers found it challenging. That challenge came, I think, in the way that I wrote the book in a very real way or very authentic way. The main character, Moira Burns, is not your typical romantic heroine, and we see her struggle to embrace love with Eve. One of the reasons for Moira's struggle is that she got her heart very badly broken. Back in the 1980s, late 1980s, she fell in love with her first love, Iris Campbell, at a time when to be openly gay was incredibly hard. But one of the lovely things about Highland Whirl, one of the joys of writing it, was to show that Eve and Moira are happy and that they have found in each other their forever love. So 4 years on, Eve has worked her magic.
What can we expect next from the Highland series?
I hadn't really thought of a Highland series. I love that. Let's see how Highland Whirl is received. But there's certainly lots of potential for me to cause mischief up in the Highlands. So watch this space.
Do you have a message for your readers?
This might be a quirky thing to say, but if you haven't read either Highland Fling or Highland Whirl, then may I suggest you perhaps pick up Highland Whirl first. I think it'll give you a really useful perspective to bring into your reading of Highland Fling. Secondly, thank you so much. I hope you enjoy reading Highland Whirl as much as I enjoyed writing it, and let me know what you think. Thank you for watching.